Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. With the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most compassionate, all praises due to God, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds. Assalamu alaikum. It is certainly by Allah's grace that I'm here today. Inshallah, all 92 strands of DNA from my parents, Charles and Sabrine Dawud, that Brother Imam affectionately mentioned, give me the strength and the knowledge to address this very, very important topic. Thank you, Brother Imam, for allowing me to speak about the concerns of the Council of Imams here in New Jersey. It also allows me to carry on a legacy of my father, who was not only a co-founder of this masjid, Masjid Al-Haqq, but establishing this masjid was his idea. Today's topic, we're going to go over bridging the gap in leadership by engaging Gen Z and millennials. As a current doctorate student at St. Peter's University, I'm a fan of the Jesuit model, educational model, where they present ideas and schools of thought, and no one is actually incorrect. I'm going to present some possible ideas that, inshallah, will provoke thought and get our creative juices flowing. What I'm going to briefly do is to set the tone. We'll set the tone by using both of the whiteboards. And if you look at the whiteboard, it gives you the different generations that there are. The last four of the last five. I'm not going to do Generation A and Generation B. So we start with the baby boomers. We're going to look at the generations. Baby boomers are basically born between the years of 1946 and 1964. Then you have Generation X, also known as Gen X, born 1965 to 1980. Then you have, who is the biggest subject of the day, the last two, millennials. Millennials were born between the years of 1981 and 1996. And lastly, but certainly not least for today's discussion, we're going to talk about Gen Z, who was born 1997 to 2012. There is a distinct difference between each generation, although some of the youth or the population were born on the cusp, so they may reflect both generations. So we're going to do, as you know, I'm a teacher by trade, like Brother Imam. He was my principal, by the way. Okay? So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and you can just go ahead and call out. To me, it'll be easy, kind of easy to answer, but we'll see. Which of these generations built the masjids that are currently in our community, the African American Muslim community? Which generation? I think I heard Gen X. In my opinion, baby boomers, and a little bit of Gen X. So the baby boomers, as we know, from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, leading to W.D. Muhammad, that was basically baby boomers. Okay, there was a generation before that as well, but the ones that really moved us to our population today, baby boomers. Next question. Which generation sacrificed to purchase the buildings overall? Which generation? Gen X. Baby boomers. I would say primarily baby boomers with a mixture of Gen X in there. Correct. Which generation organized the fundraisers for those, of course, that would be the building of those buildings, that would be the baby boomers and Gen X. And last but certainly not least, which generation laid the foundation for us to worship freely as we do today? What do you think? X, baby boomers, correct. So let's acknowledge Generation X. Let's talk about them for a little bit. I'm a member of Generation X. We're trying to figure out the millennials and Gen Z. So just to let you guys know, I'm not an expert. I'm an educator, and I deal with them, but I'm not an expert. So we're going to provoke some thought. Gen X and the baby boomers had carried the torch faithfully. They inherited responsibilities from our elders and kept many masjids alive during difficult years. They have preserved Islamic teachings, maintained and facilitated and ensured organizational stability. The question is, who will continue this work in the next 20 years? Who will lead after Generation X? Who is being prepared right now? Why this conversation matters? Overall, most African American masjids face aging leadership, declining youth participation, limited volunteer pipelines, financial sustainability concerns, and definitely, as you saw, technology gaps. And I'm suffering from the technology gap myself as a Gen Xer. Well, we know Allah uses nature as signs for the actions he wants to see from mankind. So if we go to the 16th surah and 79th ayat, it tells us, do they not see the birds controlled in the atmosphere of the sky? None holds them up except Allah. Indeed, in that are signs for people who believe. In other words, it's telling us to trust Allah. Speaking of birds, and for a lot of people that know me, I love watching birds. I have a bird feeder set up in my backyard. I love it. And one of my favorite ones is the blue jay. So let's just take a look at the blue jay. The blue jay aligns well with Quranic idea of succession. Older blue jays pass on knowledge and survival skills, while younger blue jays eventually assume greater responsibility within a community. The transition is not a rejection of elders, but a continuation of stewardship from one generation to the next. Okay, so with that in mind, my generation, Generation X, and then the baby boomers, this gives us a good example of the way that we should proceed. So let's take it Islamically from the Hadith. The Hadith demonstrates that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, invested heavily in young people. Many of the Prophet's companions were young adults when entrusted with major responsibilities. Elijah Muhammad did not merely preach to young people, he intentionally developed them into leaders, ministers, educators, entrepreneurs, and national representatives. Most popularly, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, W.D. Muhammad, Hussein Shabazz, Ali Muslim, and our own Abdul Kareem Muhammad. We must empower and build upon what we already have. They are our low-hanging fruit. The most successful masjids are not those with the strongest current leaders. The most successful masjids will develop future leaders. Let's talk a little bit about millennials. That's 1981 to 1996. Who are millennials? They're generally born between 1981 and 1996. Many are now, get a load of this, I remember in the year 2000, we were complaining about the millennials. Everyone remembers that, right? They are now in their 30s and 40s. They're no longer even in their 20s. They are parents. They are professionals. They are educators. They are entrepreneurs. They are community organizers. Millennials bring professional experience from the workforce. They manage departments. They supervise employees. They run businesses and they lead projects. How can millennials benefit to our masjids, plural? Strategic planning, project management, budgeting, fundraising, grant writing, volunteer coordination. Don't worry, I'll get to how we can get them in momentarily because I know that's a big question. Millennials understand families. Why? Because they are raising them. Okay? Many are raising children. Family are the backbone of strong masjids. Healthy families lead to healthy communities. Half of our deen is marriage. Millennials serve as the bridge. They're the bridge because that group, that component of the population from 81 to 1996, they understand the older members like Gen X and baby boomers, while at the same time, they understand the younger generation, which is your Gen Zs and Gen A, B, and all of that good stuff. They can translate between both populations. When baby boomers say, when baby boomers and Gen X say, we've always done it this way. Unfortunately, we always kind of say that, and it's not the best thing to say. Millennials can respectfully ask, how can we preserve the mission while improving the method? Let's talk about why Gen Z matters. Please keep in mind, Gen Z goes from 1997 to 2012. Okay? Who is Gen Z? They're digital natives. They're just born into technology. They know it like there is no tomorrow. They were raised in an era of constant connectivity. So they've always been connected to electronically and virtually. Okay? Gen Z understands modern communications, social media, video production, graphic design, live streaming, and digital engagement. Challenges for many masses. Most masses communicate as if, and this is pure Gen X and baby boomers, by the way. Like I said, I am definitely Gen X. Communicate as if it is still 2005, and unfortunately, the world has changed considerably. The world changed extensively through COVID. We all know at work it's totally different than it was before 2020. And now, with the introduction of AI at the end of 2022, it's changed exponentially. And it's changing daily and weekly and monthly at a very fast pace. Young people these days, this is the reality, young people these days, they receive information a lot differently than we do. The benefits of Gen Z to masses: better outreach, marketing, better community visibility, and better engagement with youth. Keep my eye on the time because I have my guy back there. He was deputy grandmaster when I was a grandmaster, and he used to tell me, do this. That means land the plane. When he does that, and I'm making sure we stick to our timetable. All right. Gen Z brings innovation. They ask key questions when putting together a project. Like, why do we do it this way? Gen Z also asks, can we improve this process? It's their way of thinking. Also, they obviously ask, can technology help? I have to give a quick example. Most of you saw the flyer for today. And Imam Kareem provided me with a general flyer, beautiful flyer. And I said, I don't have the artwork or anything. And I was still working on the title. I didn't tell you the story. So go to work. I have a few staff members that are Gen Z, probably like 19, 20 years old. I give her the flyer. She takes her phone. She does something to it. And while I'm developing the name of the topic, which probably took me less than 10 minutes, she rearranged the entire flyer from taking a picture of a flyer in about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, how long did it used to take us to have flyers made? We used to have them professionally made. People made big money. You had to pay $60, which was a decent amount of money, $60, $70, or $100 just to make a flyer. And now they just do it just like that. So these questions that they ask are very valuable. Innovation is not rebellion. Innovation is the preservation of the future of Al-Islam in America. Healthy organizations preserve principles and improve methods. So we keep our principles because we have the Holy Quran and the Hadith as our guideline. It tells us what to do. Our methods is just the way that we do it. Now, common concerns of older generations, my generation and the generation before, and a response of a baby boomer and Gen Z. We say young people are not interested. Their response is sometimes they are not invited and don't have a seat at the table. Sometimes they are not heard. Sometimes they are given tasks but not responsibility. Keep in mind, people support what they help build because they have ownership in it. Another concern of the older generation, my generation, they need more experience. The response is absolutely, they absolutely need more experience. But the experience comes through opportunity. No leader was born experienced. Every leader began as a learner. My generation Concern number 3, they want to change everything. And this is our biggest fear. Let's be realistic, Gen X and baby boomers. About to change, they're going to come in and it's going to be crazy. It's just not going to work. Okay? The response is young adults do not want to destroy the masses. They want to strengthen them. There's a distinction. Changing principles is dangerous. So you change your foundation is dangerous. Change the foundation of your house is dangerous, correct? However, improving methods and procedures are necessary. What positive changes can happen if we get them engaged? Financial growth, better fundraising, online giving, grant opportunities, as well as professional development. Then we see a growth in membership. Why? Because now their peers will see that they're engaged, just like a lot of good friends and family are here today. They see I'm engaged in something. They came here to support, correct? Well, the same thing happens with your millennials and Gen Z. Okay? You get greater youth involvement, increased family participation, and improved retention of young adults. Also, stronger community impact. We develop better partnerships. We increase our visibility because now our visibility is going to the youth and expanding mentoring initiatives. We build so important, a better leadership pipeline because now we have those generations and they're engaged with the work of their particular masjid. Future board members, future educators, future community leaders. So let's put up a challenge to all the generations, all 4 of them. The challenge to Generation X and baby boomers, that's my generation, become mentors, not gatekeepers. Share the wisdom generously. Create seats at the table. Just an idea on this one. Like I said, we're just sharing ideas. Put a few Gen Z Muslims as full-fledged members on the Council of Imams. Have the millennials and Gen Z possibly plan and organize our Eid. Empower them. We must plant seeds for trees we may never sit under. Now the challenge to the millennials, stop waiting to be invited. Step forward and serve. They have to do their part. Challenge to Gen Z. Learn the history. Respect the legacy. And help build the future. So there are a lot of places in the Quran where we see that that it supports the youth and having them in leadership roles. If we go to Surah Al-Kahf, Surah 18, Ayat 13. They were youths who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance. Allah, in this ayat, if you'll notice, Allah specifically identified them as youths. The companions of the cave were youths. Okay? They stood against the beliefs of their society, for Islam. And Allah praises their faith and grants them increased guidance. The Quran does not present these young believers as a problem to be managed. Allah presents them as an example to be followed. Also, if we look at Prophet Ibrahim, peace and blessings be upon him. All right, the 21st Surah, Ayat 60. When Ibrahim challenged idol worship, people said, "We heard a young man mention them who is called Ibrahim." So, what is the lesson of this ayat? Ibrahim was known as a young man. And for my Christian brothers and sisters who found it not robbery to come out today, that's Abraham, by the way. He challenged the status quo. He provided moral leadership before he held formal authority. If a young Ibrahim can challenge an entire culture of idol worship, our young adults can chair a committee, lead a project, and help shape the vision of Al-Islam in the state, well, in the country. Then if we go to look at Prophet Musa, And for our Christian brothers and sisters, that's Moses. Peace and blessings be upon him. In the Quran, as a young man, Musa acted to defend the oppressed and later became one of Allah's greatest leaders. Many young people are already showing leadership qualities. Then we could discuss Mary. Okay, Miriam was a young woman chosen by Allah for an extraordinary responsibility. So this gives us a leadership lesson. Allah entrusts major responsibilities to young leaders. Faith, character, and trustworthiness matter most. So these are the type of things, brothers and sisters, we can take a look at doing in our approach to our youth. We should cultivate leadership among young Muslim women and girls. In closing, let's just take a look at all 4 generations again. Okay? Closing challenge to Generation X. Closing challenge to our baby boomers. Our elders built the foundation. Okay? Generation X and baby boomers preserve the structure. Millennials can strengthen the systems and cause the communication, the much needed communication. And Gen Z can expand the vision. The Quran teaches us that the youth are not simply future leaders. They are present leaders in development. When we exclude millennials and Gen Z from meaningful leadership and ignore the ideas for improving, we may be overlooking the very people Allah intends to carry this community forward. The question is not whether our youth are ready to lead. The question is whether we are ready to mentor them, trust them, and make room for them. I appreciate everyone who came out today, especially by my special invite. It's pleasing to look inside of the masjid and see you at my family's masjid. Inshallah, you'll continue to come out. Thank you for the support. Assalamu alaikum. And I'll bring up Allahu Akbar. Sure. And then, you know, the great thing about it with the Q&A, I have a former assistant commissioner of education there. I have a few teachers in here that deal with Gen Z and millennials, and we can have a nice discussion. And I even have some millennials in here. Not you, Abdul Salim Hassan. You know, we 2 months apart. You next. So let's open it up for question or discussion, because like I said, the Jesuit form of education calls for discussion and disagreement and agreement. Yes, brother. Yep.
Very inspired. Very inspiring for me as I continue my spiritual well-being.
Alhamdulillah.
So, as me being a millennial, like you said, I deal with a lot of baby boomers and Generation X who are gatekeepers. They're not mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I consider you a mentor.
Thank you, sir.
And if I didn't join the fraternity, I probably wouldn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Me being part of fraternity and watching how you govern, I'm inspired. So, I deal with the professional world. I deal with a lot of Generation X and baby boomers who are gatekeepers. Not masonry, but, it's civilian world.
Mm-hmm.
How do I cope with that? It's like I feel like I'm suppressed. I try not to, because I've been raised well. I respect my elders. I don't want to speak up, but I respect my elders. But in this season of my life, as I become to be 40 in January, you all experience it.
Yes, sir.
I had the tolerance for certain things.
Yes.
You're very straightforward. You're very, and it's like I feel like a lot of Generation X and baby boomers are gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to find a way to, cope with it, deal with it. Let's say, wait your turn, they would say, but I don't
We're a pain in the neck. I get it. We are. We are. It's something that we have to actively. First and foremost, I appreciate your question, especially since you're the future of politics in New Jersey. I'm going to start with that. And that'll be another conversation because we have to develop our Muslim brothers and sisters to carry our platform and our beliefs, to the country as a whole. My suggestion, and perhaps someone for the audience can help out with this, is what I tend to do. I've been employed and someone who wants to keep everything to themselves, and it's like, look, I'm just sitting here, I'm not busy. I want it, but they think they have the way, and they're a little worried about this little young buck over here coming over and trying to do this and do that. That's a problem. What I suggest to do is just take it off of their table. In other words, when you, yes.
Sister, I want you to
Oh.
go up a little higher.
A little higher?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So they can hear back. Sorry.
No problem. Or I could put on my teacher voice. I'm sorry, it's backwards. Can you just undo it? I'll hold it. Oh, you got it?
No, I wasn't going to try. Let me see. That may be a way.
And I'll just
Probably just hold it.
Did I just put on my teacher voice as well? Is this better? Okay, I'll just use my teacher voice. Okay, so what I suggest doing when you see something needs to be done, take it off of their table and just do it. Just do it. And after a while, it's going to become your job because unfortunately, a lot of our generation, there isn't the trust for the younger generation or someone who hasn't proven, in our minds, proven themselves ready to take on certain tasks. That's a huge problem because then we're not developing our leadership, whether it's work, whether it's in MASHA, whether it's in a fraternal organization or the NAACP. So that I suggest. Also volunteering to do stuff. Let them know, say, hey, look, I want to work on this. You challenge them. Let them know, say, look, I need something a little bit more challenging. Okay, I've used that actually quite a bit. I'm not being challenged on my skill sets. It's somebody in this room I was talking about that, and they did it and had a lot of success by doing that. Say, hey, I need more. I need more. So that's an absolute problem. It's a generational gap, especially someone like you with your skill sets. But just take the initiative and not literally, I shouldn't say that. When I say it's more figuratively, take it off their desk. You just start working on it and then you bring it to them. Okay, I saw we needed this. Because they're probably too busy because they aren't delegating to other employees or they aren't delegating to the youth. Take it. Take ownership of it. That's my best suggestion. Anyone else has some, Brother Span?
Or what you could say is, allow me to show you that there's a better way or another option. Here's another path that you can go that I think will be easier for you or make life easier for us as a whole. So if it's presented to them in a way of helping and assisting rather than snatching, grabbing, it might be a little bit more easy for now them to let it go. So just a thought process.
Brother Span has a lot of finesse. I like that. Excellent, excellent. Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
It's interesting that you brought this forth, Tisan, so thank you, because I do think like that. I don't necessarily trust the millennials and Gen Z, and it's only because inadvertently of social media. I think that when you delineate the generations, when we see it on board, I think that we have created subconsciously a case system within generations, right? We know what a case system is. We usually associate case with color, right? Discrimination or with your marital status or where you were born into. We were born into these respective generations and we were inculcated with these certain ideas from our
Yes.
respective generations. So it's hard when on social media you see millennials being more revealing,
Thank you very much. You know, in a comment in my research, I saw, because we both graduated from high school together, and so we're both Gen X, and I saw, honestly, this is what they say, that Gen X was like the easier generation. I was like, really? After what they told us? But they did. We were the latchkey generation. In other words, because both parents were working, we could go home, we could open the door, we wore our keys. I know I wore a key around my neck because I'd lose it like there's no tomorrow, you know, and everything. And then we had our sports and we had our, playing instruments and different things like that. And this is in general, so it's not bad. Our parents didn't come to our games. All the games? they didn't. I mean, that's just, I'm not saying that negatively. It's just a different generation. Or go to all the concerts and this and that. It just wasn't a thing. And I'm talking about in general as far as a generation. I don't speak against it. Now parents go to every practice, every game, and I'm not saying that's bad. It's just a different, clearly a different generation. So it does look very odd to us. It does. But you know, social media and all AI, we didn't create that. Allah created these things as tools, and we have to get a comfort level because that's what they're doing, and that's where it's at. AI is not coming anywhere. You think the social media revolution was a big deal. AI is doing some unbelievable things. We focus on the job loss, potential job loss, and other things, but we don't look at the tremendous benefit of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around it as well. I just like to keep, as Abdul Salim Hassan will tell you, we like to keep a Gen Z employed around us. Okay, because it's so easy to them. You know, we used to say that about millennials, whereas they were born with the internet was around. Okay, which was a big deal. Remember when the internet was a huge thing, and you could dial your phone through your phone line and go here and look this up. That was a form of AI. I don't care what anyone says. When Google came out, you know, when you could look up any subject, you didn't even have to go to the library. Entire books and dissertations for people's doctorates are being done without touching a physical library with validated research. Okay, it's just a different time. I'm not knocking libraries, by the way. All right, but there is a clear distinction of generations, and millennials and Gen Z have something to offer. Now I'm just going to have a little fun here because I have 7 minutes left. And we have an administrator from Kane University. He walked in, Dr. Vaughn Weaver. He's at our Kane Jersey City campus. We acquired Kane Jersey City. And I'm going to have him bring remarks because he deals with students on the phone and in person every day. I know he's like, man, he put me on the spot. So yes, I'm enjoying this. Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm not sure what remarks I'm supposed to give, but just giving thanks, to the brother Tisan, who has been a key and focal factor for me as we transition into this new stage of Kane Jersey City. Are you able to hear me? I'm sorry. Am I speaking loud enough? But this is a very interesting topic because we do work closely with, and I'm a millennial, right? So I can speak to that, right? But we are in that space where
Dr. Vaughn Weaver, by the way.
we are in that space where we're finding a huge disconnect with, of course, some of our Gen X and our Gen Z. And it's not intentional. It's just, to Brother Tisan's point, it's just where we are now, right? I think what's always going to be important is to be able to bridge the gap between the two. But it's going to take a lot of the patience of the Gen X with the Gen Z, right? Being able to say, as the brother mentioned, hey, listen, it's not to say what you're doing is incorrect, but there's a different way to go about doing things and reaching ultimate goals. They don't really have too many people to give them those resources, that energy, because they've been doing everything on their own because everything's been microwavable for them, right? If it's not instant, it doesn't set, right? So being able to kind of help them, guide them, It's something that, that's where a lot of us millennials kind of find ourselves. We're like the bridge between both. And, it's just being patient with them, but they are willing to listen as long as you are able to and willing to help as well. All right. So I'm not sure what other remarks I'm supposed to give, but, I just wanted to give some perspective, at least from that gap, that line that's in the middle, in between both, right? Because these Gen Z students, everything is happening to them for them very fast, very rapid. And with AI, they can have a conversation with somebody across the world in their, their dialect without even opening the book or never even speaking or being or visiting those places, So we really kind of got to help guide them in the right way. Blessings. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Now, why did I do that? Because that's everybody, we were talking about millennials. That's a millennial right there. Now, you saw how he took that, well educated, has his doctorate, runs stuff over at Kane, Jersey City, and that's what we need. We have plenty of millennials just like that generation. And a few in the audience, I'm not going to call people out because I have 3 minutes, so Brother Span doesn't tell me to land the plane because it's 2 o'clock. All right. So I just want to see if there's anything else anyone wants to share or ask before we close. Yes.
Well, don't forget, isn't there such thing as those leadership classes and, just bringing you together, the degenerates and the boomers and the exits or whatever, bringing you together and discussing this.
See, that's outstanding because these days there are a lot of literally classes and books on leadership. Leadership is constantly changing. Actually, there are different aspects of it, and that's something that we can bring to the table. Different things to help us bridge the gap in between each of these essential generations, where we can have some type of training. We could always take different topics, like just for example, at Kane University, I work at Kane University as well. At Kane University, we provide leadership training to high school students, middle school students, their parents, and college students as well. There's plenty of different curriculums, and maybe that's something that we can address in the future, Imam Kareem, because there are lots of curriculum out there. Lots of curriculum. Just in this audience, a few people have different types of curriculums. We can even take it to John C. Maxwell. He has some great stuff as well. I'm a firm believer that we have to practice leadership, because there's no perfect leadership, because it's just going to continually evolve as time goes on. We have to fine-tune our leadership, because if I lead the same way I led 20 years ago when I was in my 30s, that's not going to work right now. Quick example, I once had a very high position, okay, then I went back and took a lower position, and inside that lower position, it was amazing because it was after COVID. So that was one of the most challenging things that I can do. Why? Because the world had changed because of COVID, and I challenged myself to lead differently. So I had to do some reading. I had to talk to some Gen Z millennials to get some ideas. Hey, how can we make this more efficient? And they showed, easily. And so we adopted different things to make things flow a lot easier, and you save a lot of money with technology. I'm going to tell you. So I think that's a great point. I think that would be apropos to do, to have different leadership training just for everyone, and it helps us to be able to communicate a lot better. Okay, so at this time, I have 36 seconds left, so I'm going to turn it over to Imam Abdul Kareem Muhammad, my principal, my leader.
Thank you. Excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent job. Good information. Yes, absolutely beautiful, and it's all about sharing information. And we honor with your presence. Okay, brothers, we honor with your presence, all of you. And our sisters too, honor with your presence.